And we're back. Okay, in the last video we were looking at the basic formulas for finding volume and surface area, which were, of course, volume is pi r squared times the height, referring to the cylinder, and then the surface area was equal to 2 times the area of the circle plus the circumference of the circle, which is 2 pi r, times the height. Okay, and what I focused on was trying to bring attention to in the previous video is that if you think about it, both of these are what we call three-part equations. In other words, the only three things that we have to calculate are volume, radius, and height. Because remember, pi is just a number. It's approximately 3.14. So for the first one, 3 parts, right? If we know, if we want to find the volume, we have to know radius and height. And for example, if we wanted to know what the radius was, we could figure that out as long as we knew what the other 2 parts were. Okay, so anytime that you have a 3-part equation, I'm just highlighting all the things that we need to know. Technically, I highlighted 4 things here, but its radius is the same for both, right? So in these situations, you need to know at least 2. You need to know 2 of the 3 parts in order to figure out the missing 3rd part. So let me give you an example. Suppose I gave you this. Suppose I said, all right, I have this cylinder, all right, and I'm not going to tell you what the radius is. I'm just going to say the radius is unknown, so I'm just going to leave that as r. So I have some sort of radius, but let's say I tell you the height is 10, okay? And then I said the volume of this thing is equal to, let's make something up. Let's say the volume is equal to 360 pi. Okay, and then my question is, what would the radius be? Well, switching up colors again, this shouldn't be too bad. All we have to do is plug in the stuff that we do know into the appropriate equation to solve for the missing thing. So in this case, we don't know what r is. Actually, I didn't switch up colors. Hold on, let me do that again. We don't know what r is, but we do know that the height is equal to 10, and the volume is equal to 360 pi, so let's go ahead and plug those numbers into that given equation. All right, so I'm going to write it down here. Well, V stands for volume. Well, they said volume is 360 pi, so let's plug that in. So 360 pi is equal to pi r squared, which we don't know what r is, so we just have to leave that be. So we have pi r squared, times the height. Well, the height is 10, so there we go. Okay, and now all we'd have to do is algebraically solve for r. How would we do that? Okay, well, let's try this. Well, if you think about it, we want to get r all by itself on one side. So I want to get rid of this 10, and I want to get rid of that pi, right? We'll tackle the exponent in just a minute. But how would I do that? Well, because all these things are multiplied together, what's the operation that sort of cancels out multiplication? Pause it if you need to think about it, but it should be division, right? So if I'm multiplying something by 10, well, if I divide that thing by 10, but then I have to do it to both sides, that would cancel off my tenths. And that would leave me with, well, 360 pi divided by 10. Well, that would just be 36 pi. Okay, I'll try to squeeze it in here. 36 pi is equal to, we canceled off the tenths, we're just left with pi r squared. So far, so good. Well, we can do exactly the same thing for the pi, right? I could divide both sides by pi, and that would cancel off those, cancel off that, and that leaves me with, let's do some weird looking purpley color. So I'm going to kind of push this equation up here. What are we left with? Well, we have r squared is equal to 36. Okay? So now, last step. How do we get rid of the exponent to find out just what r is, right? We figured out r squared is 36, but we want to know just what is r. Well, take the square root of both sides. And that, of course, would be r is equal to 6. Boom. Okay? This is an important type of a problem. I would strongly encourage you rewatching this if this confused you, because this will often pop up on a STAAR test. It's intended to kind of confuse you, is that we're all used to trying to find the volume if we're given a radius and a height, plug them in, but sometimes it throws students when you're given the volume, but then you have to figure out one of these missing parts right here. But again, the strategy is just going to be plug in everything you know into your equation and then solve for it. Okay? I wanted to try to do quickly one more of those, and then let's try one for surface area, and that should be it. Okay? So here, let's try one more. Let's see here. Let's do pink, my favorite color. All right, so let's suppose we had this horrifically drawn cylinder right here. I don't even know why I bother anymore. But let's now suppose I told you that the radius is equal to, I'm just making up simple numbers. Let's say the radius is equal to 5, but I don't tell you what the height is. But then I tell you the volume is equal to, I don't know, I'm just going to make something up. Let's say the volume is equal to 100 pi. Okay, let's just say. Well, all right, and then the question is, what would the height have to be? If I have a cylinder and its volume is 100 pi and it has a radius of 5, what should that height be? All right, well, again, remember what our equation is. Equation is volume is equal to pi r squared times the height. Okay? So let's plug in what we know. We know the volume is 100 pi, so we can replace the v with that. And that's equal to, we know the radius is 5, so we can replace the r with a 5, so it's pi 5 squared, and that times the height. Okay? And let's see if we can solve this. Well, first thing we can do is we can simplify this 5 squared. That's just 5 times 5, which would be 25. So that really is just, we have 100 pi is equal to 25 pi times the height. All right, so we are interested in figuring out height, so we need to get rid of pi and we need to get rid of 25. Okay? And again, think about it. All these numbers are being multiplied together. We want to undo a multiplication. So the way that we do that is to divide. And here I'm just going to do it in one fell swoop. We can divide both sides by 25 pi. Right? And do that to this side too. Okay, and look what would happen. So the pi's cancel, the 25 cancels. We're left just with h, which is what we wanted. And then what can we cancel off here? Let's see. We have, well, the pi's will definitely cancel. And then 100 divided by 25, check me on your calculator, but that should be 4, right? 100 divided by 25. So we have 4 is equal to h, and there we go. The height must be equal to 4. Okay? Let's do one last one, quickly, involving surface area, which is maybe a little bit more complicated looking, but it's the same basic process. So let's scroll down for a second, and let's say we have, let's do one last one here. Let's suppose I want to find out, I have this cylinder, and, oh gosh, let's say I said, I don't know, let's just stick with height again. Let's say we don't know what the height is. Height is unknown. But I do know the radius, and let's say the radius is 3. Okay? And I told you the total surface area of this shape is equal to, oh man, I'm going to make up something, and it's probably going to come out awful, but we'll just do our best. Okay? Just bear with me here. Let's say the surface area is equal to 9, oh, it's going to be awful, I know it. Well, sorry in advance. Let's just say it's equal to 900 pi. Let's just say. Okay, so what do? Well, the formula for surface area is equal to 2 times whatever the area of the circle is, right, pi r squared, plus the circumference of the circle, which is just 2 pi r times the height. Okay, so let's plug in everything that we know. I know that the radius is equal to 3, and the height is equal to, well, we don't know the height, but we do know the surface area is 900 pi. Okay, so let's plug all this stuff in. So that tells me 900 pi is equal to 2 times pi times r squared. Well, 3 squared, that's 9, right? Plus 2 times pi times r, which again is 3, so that'd be 2 pi times 3, that's going to be 6 pi times the height. Good so far? Okay, we can simplify this a little bit. What is this going to be? 2 times pi times 9. Hopefully, this should make sense to you. Hopefully you can see that that would be 18 pi plus 6 pi times h, and then all that is equal to 900 pi. Oh, this is going to get messy. This is going to get messy. Apologies in advance. You know what? I'm lazy. I'm going to pull up my calculator. I don't feel like, hold on a second. I don't feel like doing this by hand. Oh gosh. Okay, I know. It's cheating. It's cheating. Okay, so now let's see. So how would we figure this out? Okay, so we want to get h all by itself. So we have to get rid of this 18 pi and we have to get rid of this 6 pi. Well, notice the 6 pi is being multiplied by the h, so that suggests we're going to have to do division to get rid of it. But the 18 pi is being added to the h, so that suggests we're going to want to do subtraction to get rid of that. So let's do that one first. Okay, so I'm going to take away 18 pi from both sides, and using my handy calculator, what's that going to be? So 900 minus 18, I could have done this in my head, but I'm just old. There we go. So it's going to be 882 pi, right? So if I subtract 18 pi from both sides, minus 18 pi, that's going to give us 882 pi is equal to, see, this is gone now, right? We canceled that out, is equal to 6 pi times h. Okay. All right, we're almost done. So now, what do we have to do here? Well, to figure out what h has to be, we need to divide both sides by 6 pi. Okay? So if I divide both sides by 6 pi, let's see. The pi's cancel, and, oh gosh, I can't do that. What is this? So that would be 882 divided by 6. Let's see, what is that going to be? Divided by 6 is equal to, I knew it was going to be a weird number, but that's all right. Okay, so what we found out was that therefore h, I thought I switched colors. I guess I didn't. H is equal to, what was it again? 147? Yeah. H has to be equal to 147. Okay, so given that if we had a surface area of 900 pi and a radius of 3, therefore our H, in order for that to work, had to be 147. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you. If not, give me some feedback and I will elaborate further.